But the fantastic fact is that no one knows that she is of the Jewish faith. Mordechai reminds her time and time again, don't tell anyone who you are.
So when we come, for instance, to Esther, we have a melodious chant of how she reaches the king's palace and is chosen by him. Hagia Tor Esther Bat Avichail Dod Mordechai Asher Lakach Lo Levat. And it says that the king loved Esther more than any other of the women who were interviewed to be his wife. Vayehav HaMelech et Esther mikol hanashim vatisachin vachesed lefanav mikol habetulot vayasem keter malchut berosha vayamlicheha tachat Vashti. So that is all very joyous. But then we come to the part of the story where we hear that Haman wants to destroy the Jewish people.
And here comes the problem. A man wishes to exterminate us. Does that sound as though it belongs to history books 2,500 years ago? Haven't we heard the same desire generation after generation as Jews?
And Esther calls for a fast to be upheld by all the Jews in the kingdom. And so we go to a mournful tune, the same tune that we use on the 9th day of the fast of Av, when we commemorate the destruction of both temples of Jerusalem. ידע את כל אשר נעשה, ויקרא מרדכי את בגדיו, וילבשו עקביו, ויצא בתוך העיר, ויזעק זעקה גדולה ומרה.
The story continues, twisting and turning. Why do we call the festival of Purim, Purim? Purim means lots, a throw of the dice, which is exactly what Haman did to decide on which day he wanted to issue the edict that all the Jews should be killed. So, the throw of the dice. How it happens, you have to read the book. How Achashverosh is seduced into giving this order for Haman, all because of money. Money plays its venal part, as it does in so many other things. A big bribe is offered. Achashverosh is happy to take the money. Haman issues the decree.
There is also a wonderful custom of changing the voices to fit the characters. And we can do this in one special case. Let me illustrate the shrewish wife of Haman, known as Zeresh. I think of her as a woman with a cigarette attached to her lip, while Haman regales her of the great praise that he has been given by the king, and he is about to carry out his wicked plan. So Haman is telling his wife Zeresh, ויספר המן לזרש אשתר ולכל אוהביו את כל אשר קראו ויאמרו לו חכמיו לזרש אשתר. So you can see we can bring the personality into the chanting and the reading. Then we come to the moment when the king's sleep is disturbed and he asks for the chronicles of the kingdom to be brought before him. And he reads for the first time how Mordechai had saved his life by overhearing the plot of two courtiers who wished to assassinate him, and had told this to Esther. And so now he realizes he has to reward the uncle of Esther, Mordechai. He wakes up. בלילה ההוא נדדה שנת המלך ויאמר להביא את ספר הזיכרונות דברי הימים And suddenly, Haman comes to ask for the king's royal seal to seal the fate of the Jews. And the king sees him in the courtyard. What does the king say? Vayomeh hamelech mi vechatzer v'Haman. And it's a tradition that everyone bangs on the table when they hear his name. The Haman, as if we wish to blot out his name, even from the book of which we read.
Esther comes into the story, into a harem of the king. That is not a great position to be in. Yet she emerges at the end as the savior of the Jewish people, because Esther has the courage to appear before the king, not once, not twice, risking his wrath when she is not invited, to tell him what is going to happen to the Jewish people. Things go from bad to worse, and suddenly a complete change.
And finally, when the king realizes of Haman's plan and that Esther herself is in danger, the key point in the story is, of course, that Haman doesn't know that Queen Esther herself is a Jewess. And therefore, when this is revealed to him, he realizes he must beg the king for mercy. And in front of Esther and the king, he throws himself before the king. Unfortunately, he chooses the royal bed on which to do so, where Esther is close by. And the king, seeing this, asks him, "Do you intend to seduce my wife in my own home?"
And in the end, the king understands. And so Esther emerges with such credit as a woman of great moral courage. Yet we would not have known that at the beginning.
One of the most joyous moments in the reading of the scroll occurs when Mordechai leaves the king's palace, having been given the role of chief minister in place of Haman. He is dressed in royal robes, and he has a golden crown around his head.
That day becomes the day on which our enemies bite the dust, and the Jews, for once, triumph.
It is a day of great joy for the Jewish people. Cantor Netanel Baram will now sing with me that moving moment, that joyous moment.
ומרדכי יצא מלפני המלך בלבוש מלכות ועטרת זהב. ומרדכי יצא מלפני המלך בלבוש מלכות ועטרת זהב. ליהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה, אורה ושמחה וששון ויקר. ליהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה, אורה ושמחה וששון ויקר.